dun, 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 dun. I got to do my own theme music right now until we get all of our podcast stuff set up, but that'll be soon. In the meantime, hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of Alien Earth. We're diving into episode 6, The Fly. And joining me as always from Smirking Gun Reviews, it is Rob Stone.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, green screen, so I'm kind of in and out. Look at that. Oh, my God. We're here talking not the penultimate, but the 6th episode of this show. And, I'm curious. I read what you wrote in the description of the announcing for the video. And, I think you're pretty accurate on there. I mean, there are questions, and it is like there's some great stuff in here.
Totally. No, and I don't want to deny that, and that was one of the things with writing up that quick little description is and I think it would technically be the anti-penultimate episode for the season, is there is some really cool stuff in this, and there is some interesting ideas to me. And look, spoilers ahead, just so that we all have it officially said. And please be sure, like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Good. Let's move on from that. No, for me this week, I think the problem is this really underscored how unnecessary last week's episode was. I think the one bit of information that we get is not even acknowledged in this episode, which we'll definitely touch on. Yeah. And then everything else is just, again, it's an alien escape. And we just saw a bunch of aliens escape. And now we're going to see it again, a bunch of aliens escape. And much like last week was stupid human tricks, it's kind of the same thing this way. It's a bunch of really stupid moves that have to happen in order for this sequence to go on. And it's just, to me, it just takes away a lot of the tension, a lot of the potentiality. And more so, I think, again, if we didn't have last week's episode, then we wouldn't have that image and those ideas in our mind. And I think, honestly, I might feel differently about this episode. Because at least it did have pretty much one real instigating incident, one failure that everything else started building and going on top of. And I think that that's definitely a much better choice than having multiple things that have to happen. But still, it requires a lot of stupidity. And even in other stuff, there's just a lot of irresponsibility going on at Prodigy. And I just can't understand how this company is honestly successful in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, Rob, why don't you go in with your brief summation there? How did it take you? I'm hoping better than me.
No, I mean, you're on it. I mean, it's a little frustrating. Because on different levels of like why I expect a bit more better crafting of how things go down. We're dealing with a very smart creator with Noah Hawley, and he's credited as writing, but it's also someone else is there too, and maybe he's just having so much fun in this little corner of the universe where he's been able to adapt Coen Brothers. He's been able to adapt Marvel. Now he's tackling the Alien franchise. Maybe he needs to do some of his own work again with like Pushing Daisies, where he can really shine again with his own stuff, because this is just kind of turning into another Alien movie with just more aliens,
right,
and different creatures, which is fun, and it's great to expand the universe, expand ideas. The kids' synths are still very interesting. Well, Marcy's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
The rest of them now feel more like cannon fodder. And ways for the other characters to maybe question their choices of what they've been doing. Mm-hmm. And there's a really cool scene in this, and I really dug that. But then after that, because I still go, Kirsch, what is Kirsch's end game here?
Yeah. He at least this is interesting. Yeah.
Kirsch's end game, does he, he's playing this game with Morrow that Morrow doesn't seem to know, Kirsch isn't tipping his hand, that he knows everything. He's allowing things to happen. How far is he wanting to take this? Is it because he feels like Boy Cavalier, is he thinking he can? I don't know what he's thinking. We don't know. I can only.
Does he have a motivation, or is he just like, wow, this is interesting? Should we see what happens?
Yeah, I'm that's at this point I'm frustrated. Mm-hmm. Because even though it's just I'm waiting for his. When is that going to drop? And Bill's right. He does have a disdain for humans. But it feels like it's more than that, whatever he's after. Because he doesn't, I don't know. Again, I don't like speculating. And when the character just gives you nothing but mystery behind his motivations, that's frustrating. I think I mentioned that when we were talking about who is slightly gonna sacrifice, it was like there's really not many choices, and I would think I said that the doctor, the man doctor, was probably the other choice outside of Joe. And so, boom, they just go for that choice. The scene that we're talking about though, that ties into last week's episode. With the boardroom,
let's jump into that.
Like that was the opportunity to throw that information and get the upper hand on Boy Cavalier, and yet they don't use it.
Yeah,
they don't do anything. In fact, she looked weak. This kid with this, is it supposed to be like that? The higher he rises and the confidence he gets and the more he thinks he has it, the sweeter the fall. I don't know. Because he's an asshole. He's just such an asshole. And she just felt weak in that moment. And Morrow's standing there and you're just like, drop the hammer.
Well, that's it. I mean, and I think that was the frustrating thing with that scene is you were waiting. Like, oh man, he's going to drop that down and just be like, oh yeah, but aren't you behind it? Because that would cut out, honestly, it's like that would cut out the whole rest of the show, because that would be like, oh, you intentionally did this. Well, then you're going to have to return it, even if have to go back go back off planet or whatever like that. And it would be done. It would certainly change, the whole dynamics of the rest and put him in the negative. Instead, that information is not dropped. There doesn't seem to be any other place to do it. So why give it to us?
Probably for Morrow to have some sort of private moment with Boy Cavalier that could result in Cavalier's death over the death of the crew,
right?
That Morrow allowed to perish. Not all of them were his fault, by the way, but
sure. But that's so personal, and if anything, they've really underlined the fact of how committed he is to Yutani, that he owes them everything.
That decision to do it like that, if that's what they're going for, just again seems really, I don't know. I'm focusing on what I think is the writing is just not as strong as I want it to be.
Right.
And it's just falling into cliches and things like that I know the creative team behind this can do better than this.
Right. Well, I mean, and that's where I think what I've kind of touched on a little bit earlier in some of our discussions is there feels like too much going on. And this is like one of those things. You've got too many misdirects. You've got too much information out. You get too many different ideas that are all competing for space in this show.
Yeah.
And look, Boy Cavalier, I am guessing, and it's the only thing that was kind of like making any type of sense for especially this episode, is they're using kind of the tech bros, move fast and break things kind of approach, which doesn't seem to necessarily fit in this world. Because there are so many irresponsible choices, lack of any protocols, lack of any actual security. Is anybody watching security cameras in this place? We know there's people walking around and it's supposed to be this big complex, but it feels very empty. It feels like there's nobody else actually contributing to the science or what things are going on. The hybrids are supposed to be this new breakthrough. We're about to put them out, and yet nobody's watching them. Now, I'm going to put Kirsch in a separate category because we know he's doing his own little thing. But if Kirsch is the one in charge of making sure that they're safe, then there's like serious problems that this company's already dealing with. But like Dame Sylvia's thing with Nibs. I mean, first off, that whole scene where Baldy, I don't know his name, I don't care, I'm calling him Baldy, it's just like, well, that's going to take too long. We need him in 3 weeks to be up on things, so just go ahead and hack away and do all this stuff. And I'm like, why does she have to be ready? Do you have to show a certain number of hybrids for your thing? Doesn't that seem to be reckless to just start shaving memory and reprogramming? Oh, and also, let's not tell anybody. So Wendy can have some weird just discovery moments. The fact that Sylvia wasn't with her and let her know, like, look, I need to let you know there was some damage to your brain. The only way that we could do it is to do that. Give the excuse that she gives to Wendy later on, but maybe preview it. Tell everybody beforehand. Tell Nibs before she goes out with everyone. So it's not, because otherwise we leave into what Wendy runs into is just this acceptance like, well, maybe I'm not human. I am just a machine. I am just this thing. And even that, which was honestly kind of a cool moment to have that discussion on what makes humanity and what is valuable and why are the hybrids there. When Wendy goes into what Kirsch was saying and, you see the world truly as it is without these emotions and without these things and so on. That is when you counter with that. But emotions give life its color. It gives it its depth. It's what connects us. That's when you give that big, this is the importance of humanity speech. And Sylvia is just like, but. And so it's just, I mean, and we're not even getting into the lab stuff, which is going to be its own irresponsible whole little discussion. But there doesn't really seem to be any thought, concern, protocol, plan. It seems like everybody is winging it and winging it badly. I mean, at the very least, don't you think Arthur and Sylvia could have like overshot Baldy and gone directly to Boy Cavalier and say, hey, he wants to shut this and do this, but it could be very unstable to the system. We need to be able to track things. We can make adjustment. There was no argument. It was just well, as they've done on several points in this, underscoring you are not have any value at all except what you can do for us. If not, we're putting you aside.
And she doesn't fight for him.
Her husband.
She doesn't quit. She doesn't stand up. She just, I guess she feels like we're still the best hands, but like, why? It's 3 weeks. You have 3 weeks to decide or to get this done, which means you don't have to make this decision this second.
Right.
Why the absolute emergency other than, especially since she just sits down at a computer, goes done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's there's like a process, and maybe we don't get to see how long it actually takes, because there's a bit of a weird time thing in this show where you don't exactly know how much time is going by, and I track that with the growth of the alien.
Well,
we see it at the beginning here, right? It's this tiny little thing. Then snap, it's full sized.
Well, and even in the 79 film, I mean, they do seem to grow very quickly from the little snaky thing to the full adult. But you're right. They don't really deal with time well, which I don't know. Is that supposed to be the dreamy Neverland kind of feel that they're going with here?
Yeah, between his little readings of Peter Pan.
Right.
But yeah, the guy doesn't, I don't know. Everything is happening really fast, and then it's like everything is happening exactly the way that it's been warned. We don't know what's going to happen if we do this to her. It could make it worse. It becomes worse immediately. Why? Because, like you said, they're not having conversations with the right people. They're not communicating. There's supposed to be tons of security. This is a secret operation, and yet when they need information told to the right people, like maybe don't give Marcy access to Nips right now. Maybe don't give her access to anyone right now until she wakes up and they fully can tell, like, say to Marcy, like you said, tell Nips, this is what happened to you. Tell Marcy, this is what happened to her. Instead, it's like drama for drama's sake.
Yes.
Instead of being smart. And when a show starts out smart and then starts to lose intelligence for the sake of the plot, again, one of my big pet peeves, and then it just starts to become a regular ass alien movie where it starts to feel more like, this is starting to slip into Covenant territory, and
right.
We just and also I don't even know what to say about Marcy. I get the whole argument that we're killers. We do things, we're experimenting on things. These don't belong to us. They didn't ask to come here. And Joe's kind of weak argument of like, don't try to make them, but like, that's one thing we really don't need is for the argument. Like, she's looking to be the mother of these things. And again, you said this earlier in the series, you don't want these things. They're monsters.
Yeah.
They might out in their universe, but like if they were to go unchecked in the universe, they would take over everything. Okay. So her being a kid, treating it like this new power and a pet and not understanding the full aspect, but she also sounds intelligent. She uses her brains to talk about ants and bees and hives and all this other stuff. So on one hand, she's intelligent, and then the next words out of her mouth aren't. And then the whole thing, I'm just like gonna use this to talk. We don't know how much she fully understands that what she's saying. Does she even like understand what she's communicating? Does that thing understand what she's communicating? She's talking about figuring out its language, but to me right now, she's just singing to it.
Well, that's it. When she talks about the ants and bees, it's like, well, if you want to explore that in some form of communication, like, is it smart? Can it say things? I mean, there's an interesting avenue that you can go in and say, well, it communicates and has feelings. There's several ways that she could have gone across it outside of just well, we kill.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I don't think Joe is a very effective like counter for any of these discussions. And I don't really get where he's coming from, because he's a medic, which you would concern about healing people, but he's also a soldier and he's got no problems killing or viewing them as all, negative. He's also very paternal to her, but wasn't she like 12? Is there like a 10-year difference? I mean, it's almost like he's like 15 years older than her. And I don't think it's that like you said, with time, I think they play too much with how mature Wendy is supposed to be. I mean, I know a lot of 12-year-olds. They could talk pretty well.
They need to have the conversation because okay, you found me. I know you're alive. But you reached out to me, and now I'm here and I see all this and I'm thinking this is bad for you. And then you're just like, well, I don't want to leave. And it's kind of like, then why did you bring me here? What was your end game here? Because I still I don't know why Joe, other than it's the same thing with Slightly and his mom. They're related. So I've got to, but there needs to be that conversation of why am I here? What do you even want me here? I don't want to leave you because I don't trust these people. But if you're just gonna go over to this thing,
that conversation isn't actually being had. He's not asking her what she wants or her point of view, and she's just pushing back well, I don't want to leave, but not countering or anything. And he's not talking about the dangers or the problems or things that he feels because they're always concerned that they're being watched.
Even though they shouldn't be.
Yeah, but it makes for a very stuttered conversation evolution. And it just runs into frustrating. I'm just like, Joe, damn it, man, have you asked her what the heck she wants to do? Because, and even when she says she doesn't want to go, you're just like, well, fuck what she cares. I'm going to go take care of it and everything because I'm her big brother. And I'm like, that doesn't seem very realistic point of view in this world.
I guess ask her what she wants from this. Curse is telling him she can be the person who solves light speed and all this other stuff. Nobody, and Cavalier's not going to let her go.
Right.
I mean, I do like that Curse is basically telling him that. But ask her you need to ask her, what do you truly want? Is this going to be your thing? Talking to these things? I feel like they're setting up, this thing's going to get loose and she's going to sing to it in its language and she's going to control it at the right moment where it'll stop from killing probably Joe or somebody like that. And I do think it'd be interesting if they end up on the run with an alien with them.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And we've never seen anything like that before. Cause you can't trust it, but I think that's kind of where we're headed, at least in some effect.
Bill's in chat mentioning the line, your sister has the potential to invent faster than light travel and explore the stars for thousands of years. And you want her to be a family?
It does kind of feel like that's why she brought him in. That's why she was drawn, she wanted to find her family.
Sure.
But now she's immediately finding this possible new family with the alien creature.
Yeah. And she doesn't, and it's immediately taking her focus oh, okay, Joe, whatever. You're old news now. And now I've got this new thing to focus on.
Yeah.
And then make that a thing. Again, it's just, you've got all of these different ideas that are competing for space and time. And I just don't think any of them are really being serviced properly.
Yeah. And there's characters that are just Shmi. What the heck does that guy have to do on this show?
Yeah. Yeah.
He just wanders in and out of scenes. Curly, they had something going with her, but now she's been put to the side. Why? Because Toodles wanted to cut her out of the whole thing. And now, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Was the door broken or did he rip it off?
Okay. See, now that is the question. To me, that is the big question right here, because did he rip it off because he's too strong and it was stuck and he's dumb? And honestly, that's a fair error. Or is this the first domino that Kirsch has set up? Because he's the one that calls him up and says, hey, be sure to feed and water the animals. Now, he does say very specifically, and follow the procedures. They're not there for, they're there for a reason, or the checklist or whatever that he says, which honestly was the one thing that made me feeling kind of good going into this scene. Like, he's being responsible. He's doing the things. He's got the stuff. He's going on. And as soon as he rips off, it's like, I don't tell anybody. I don't mix it up. Then I'm going to go and crawl. So it's one of those where it's like, then you have to be done. Now, if Kirsch is assuming that he's probably going to screw this up, is it because he just wants to see the effect? Is he using that as bait so that slightly will have somebody to infect with the alien? Because that's starting to get very complicated. And if that's the case,
Curly was there.
Yeah. To what end is he doing it? So, no, the door to me is going to be the kind of the linchpin on, has Kirsch planned this and he set this up for whatever reason, or is this just the mistake that the kid makes? But Kirsch is also not really caring and more curious of like, oh, bad stuff is happening. I must just see sort of how this develops out because I am android and synths in this universe are all evil. Which is the one thing I don't really want, because that just turns it into the whole Ash thing. Like, oh, it's just a program thing. Is he secretly working for you, Tawny? Does he have some, just, as Bill mentioned, just hates humans, but he shouldn't hate the hybrids, right? Or is that still competition and he wants to be like the next Skynet? We have 2 episodes to hone that out, and I hope that we do. But
well, yeah. I feel like I said, Kirsch asks if Curly's there too, and Toodles chooses to say no. So that means Curly would have been there with him if that's what Kirsch was going for, or maybe he, but and what's the name of the company in Blade Runner?
Oh God, yeah, I was going after that. Thinking of that earlier, and I can't remember. I should know this, and I feel horrible.
One of the other families. Is it possible that Kirsch works for somebody else?
That is a possibility. I mean, because there has to be some motivation. The Tyrell Corporation.
Yeah, like if they've made a point to talk about these companies, but we've only seen Prodigy and Yutani.
Right. They mentioned the other ones, and I don't think Tyrell was one of them.
So why wouldn't they all want in? They all know what's going on. They all know about these creatures and the proprietary stuff. So maybe it's in Kirsch's best interest to basically watch it all fall apart and then also try to get what he can, just like Morrow is trying to get what he wants too.
Oh, did you notice that they're dressed almost exactly alike, Morrow and Kirsch? Like, one's gray and one's green, but they get the same epaulets, same kind of shirts. Like, the cut's slightly different, but the look is identical.
Yeah, too obsolete kind of. And that whole scene just, it's in, they're talking to each other on the elevator, but ultimately, what is that scene? Why do we have it? It doesn't do anything. It's just Timothy Oliphant and Babu Sise being good at their characters. That's it. Because he doesn't tip his, again, another opportunity to just say, I know what you're doing.
Well, if anything, the only thing that I would see out of this is Kirsch pushing Morrow. Again, which is why the only thing, again, between this and the fact that he's watching what's going on and not telling anybody, is, to me, sort of implies that he's trying to push this confrontation for some reason, whether it's just to see it, to come out on top because he wants to see Boy Cavalier go out. Is he, an agent on the inside that's just looking for an opportunity to strike? Or is it just, some personal whatever in his programming and sense of self?
And also the idea of Hirsch realizing that these new synths are the way of the future, which would really make him obsolete. And if this all goes down and fails, right, then that's it. We just go back to regular synths, and we can improve on synths, but not get rid of the whole idea of transferring consciousness.
Sure.
Like, and I kind of feel like we're right, but we just don't know. Like, we have to wait for them to just spring out and that's another thing that's kind of crummy. I don't like the sudden, like Dave Cool, the agent, Chaz Palminteri's character at the end of Usual Suspects, just all of a sudden, all the information right here. I just look around and like,
yeah.
I don't need a Kaiser Soze moment in this. I don't want that. I just feel like there's better ways to do all of this. Everybody's acting great. The scenario is incredible. The creatures are cool. We've got, but you're right. Also, one of the big thing you talked about is too many plates are spinning. You've got the kid synths. You've got Maro's thing. You've got Kirsch's thing. You've got Utani's thing. You've got Boy Cavalier's thing. You've got Marcy's thing with the aliens. You've got Joe trying to get her out of there. You got Slightly trying to figure out how to get a face hugger on somebody. You got the two doctors who are competing against, like, trying to keep their morality, keep these kids safe, and yet keep the experiments going. And all of that is just too many things, and things suffer. Character suffers, plot suffers. But the thing is like, this would be a first, because usually he's had plenty of plates spinning before, and it all clicks all the time. You're not going. This is the first time that I'm questioning. It's the every creator of stuff that work long enough, either early in your career or late in your career or somewhere in the middle, there's some mess up, that something that's not as good as the rest of it. And there is some really brilliant and fun, exciting stuff, but the plot and the writing are suffering as this show goes on. And as cool as it was to see, a fly, when I realized that the thing eats, like, what it eats, I'm like, oh, well,
yeah,
it's the first thing that's actually a threat to the synths.
Right. And I was wondering why it's not like eating through the metal in the bars or glass. I guess maybe a canter. Again, that's too many questions. But
it's on your look. I have a thing about bugs, and I think, especially, I am. Look, this is so weird, but I'm like Walter White with The Fly. In that one episode, I don't hate that episode, by the way. The Fly from Breaking Bad, like Mark hates it, because I think it just says a lot about Walter's character. He can't abide. Anyway,
sure.
I dislike flies so much that I saw that thing land in his arm, and I don't care how big it is. You're dead. You're dead. You are dead for touching me. You get anywhere near me, you're dead. And it's just sitting there like, bloop, bloop, and you know what it's going to do. And he just like, you don't even think to just get off of me.
Which would be a total kid reaction. And I know they're like, we adjust our emotions and things. But yeah, to me, that the kid thing is the panic of like, but, that wouldn't allow the thing to happen. Love seeing his face melt, though. I mean, it hurt because I'm like, oh, yeah, he's totally dead. But I mean, it is a cool thing. It's a cool creature. It's great to come in. What the scene also does show is what the true superpower of our eyeball creature is. And that's apparently distraction. Tapping on glass.
Yep.
Is his
just waiting.
Yeah, that's again, if we hadn't seen it before, no problem. But now it's just like, oh, so that's what you do? You just wait for someone and then you're like, distract.
Right? I mean, what's it gonna do? It's gonna get out and like and people are gonna just be like, that's a sheep. You know, and they're not gonna know what to do until it just suddenly does something. Like, what is it like? It's gonna like walk up like blah blah blah, like it's a messed up sheep, and then it's gonna pop out and then jump into somebody else. Like,
I mean, I love seeing it fling around and so on. I tend to laugh at like you're just using the exact same thing. That's its one trick of what it can. Okay, again,
look at me.
Yeah, why we don't need to see this happen before, because we got nothing else out of it. This, at least starts this, and okay.
Which again connects it's the episode 5 thing where we saw it do it once, and now
now Issac / Toodles, he's dead. Very unfortunate. I like the character, but nobody's watching that hybrid do anything. Again, nobody's doing the security cameras. Nobody's in the lab keeping an eye on things. There's no notification that this thing is suddenly offline. I mean, not until Joe and Arthur have their little conversation.
Yeah. Where is the general security? They talked about it so beefed up. They said we got all these extra, but that means that it shouldn't just be the doctor sitting there hoping that he sees it, because it's like it's clicking between cameras, right? And he just happens to look away when it shows the guy laying there. So it basically is just, if one of the doctors isn't sitting in front of the screen, they don't know.
And is there only one doctor? Again, there's no redundance. There's no
alarm. There should be men working in shifts, all looking at every camera. You would have like a team of guys, and those guys would be on a schedule, and then there'd be another 6 or 7 people that would come in for the night shift and stare at the cameras. We're talking about a highly secretive place where you hire.
Yeah, this is the super secret lab. This is the island research compound.
Yeah, where you basically write your life away if you come there, like.
Right. But nobody's keeping an eye on what the hybrids are doing. Nobody's watching and seeing what they're watching. Nope. There's no alarm if like anything goes wrong with them, unless you happen to look at a line of code. Now, Slightly, of course, fails to get Joe to come with him, and probably one of the only like semi-realistic bumbling scenes that a kid like this wouldn't be able to do and would make the wrong choices. And yeah, Joe doesn't want to hang with him at all. And look, and as an aside, yeah, the patrol thing to just where's the boat and the thing and stuff, important. I did at least like his, I don't know, who is she? Is she the sergeant or whoever is that in the midst of that conversation just turns around and tell him to shut up? Hey, stop it. We have a good job. We have a place to stay. We eat, which to me underscores again the tentativeness of existence in this corporate controlled world. That, you know, if you don't have a job, you're.
Yep.
I mean, it isn't in our world too, but this is even more so. So, I mean, I did kind of at least appreciate that. And I did like Joe, Arthur sneakily telling Joe, oh, see, look at the vitals and so on, to be able to pull stuff on the camera. That was cool. What was not cool was the when he looks back at the security camera. I'm like, wow.
But why should he be worried? Nobody's watching.
That's true.
What's he worried about? He's the guy.
That's how Boy Cavalier saves money. He says there's security, but honestly, it's just Joe and his two friends.
I take it back. There are two people, him and Kirsch. And Kirsch don't do shit about nothing he sees.
Yeah. Kirsch is like, oh, this horror show is happening. Let's see what happens next. Give me some popcorn. Nom, nom, nom.
Affirmative. Everything is A-okay.
So that obviously just kind of conveniently drops Arthur into Slightly's hands there because he notices that, oh, the tracking chip is off. And again, doesn't hit an alarm, doesn't notify anybody, just goes in and starts pulling and dealing with it. The hybrid super heavy, I'm guessing, or he's just out of shape. But again, let's not pay attention. Let's partially pull him out the door, then leave the thing open, then panic. It's just more stupidity that has to happen.
Yeah, he should have. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Wait. Again, no one's waiting. Toodles, the door breaks off. Guess what? That fly's not getting fed. That's it. It fell off. There's no reason for him to think, just like Bill said in the chat, he's wanting to impress Kirsten. The door fell off. It's okay. It's an accident. And those things are fine. Those things are fine.
And call Kirsch.
Yes.
He just established that there's some like instant communication. Just be like, Kirsch, the door's off.
Okay, don't feed them yet. That's it.
It's like I feel like I was watching like pitch meeting through half of this, and it's like, oh yeah, they got to do these things because I write it down. They got to do what I tell them to. They got to say the words that I write for them. The same thing. I gotta suddenly be stupid. And I understand he's like the father to these hybrids and he's having that dad kind of panicky thing. But then you can't close the door. You pull it half out. And then you slightly just sneak up and unlock these things because he knows the codes. He
should call somebody.
Yeah.
The guy is laying there. The bugs aren't on him. His face is melted off. He's not going anywhere. They're about to get here, and you're fired.
Well, yeah, and that might be the one thing is kind of like, well, he's supposed to be gone, and he's fired, and he doesn't want attention. To me, that would be a bullshit explanation. I don't want to
hear like you said, man. Oh, yes, he cares. But there's still protocols. There's still just pick up a phone again. I guess because there are guys that take these synths to their rooms if they need to. They did it with Nips. There are guys that they can call. Come in here. I need guns on that fucking fly nest in the thing, in the cage. Something. The electric zapper. I don't know. Like they have electric.
Sure, or notify, call, help. I need hands there. Can someone recover his data? Can we see what happened the last? Could we? Yeah, I mean, again, it's these things would make sense if they were alone on a ship in the middle of nowhere. But they have established that this is a compound with security and people. But they keep trying to play it both ways. They're watching all the time, but they're not watching all the time. There's a lot of people around, but there's actually nobody around. There's a time, a ticking clock, but not really a ticking clock. And again, there are a lot of these great moments. Honestly, even the eye thing distraction was cool. The new bugs and what they could do, that was a cool, scary scene because we're adding a new danger in that now everybody is threatened and not just some of the people. The idea of Wendy communicating with the aliens, and is that going to be a thing? Do they have an actual language? Or again, is it just like talking to bugs and ants where you kind of get a feeling type kind of thing? And like you said, is that going to end up being that she is the queen, or will this undercut her hope because she's going to try to stop the alien and communicate, but it's actually just a murderous creature and it's going to kill Joe. And then she's going to be like, well, now I'm on a mission.
Yeah, is slightly going to be in a crawl space when this thing busts out of Arthur's chest.
Sure. And are they going to establish like an actual timeline how this goes? Or again, does the alien, does the face hugger, does the warrior just develop as fast as the plot wants it to?
Yep.
Which, you know, is less interesting. So again, I mean, it's like they do have a lot of interesting things. Even the whole Wendy kind of weighing with the, am I human? Am I a robot? Am I something else? Am I not connected with that? Those are all interesting stuff. But pick a lane, damn it.
And next week's episode is only 44 minutes long.
Oh, fucking A. Well, there goes the monetization. Yeah, I mean, we have 2 episodes left, and you're right. I'm going to have to, ultimately, I will say, I'm going to have to judge the series on it as a whole, because there is good stuff. There are great points. There's really elements in here that I like, and compared to a lot of the other Alien franchise entries, even complaining, it's still, you know, better than average.
Yep, it just is falling into a lot of the same old traps.
But yeah, it's just it's becoming, are you trying to do too much? And look, I get that making anything in this, making any show, any movie, anything is a monumental task, and that anything gets done is a freaking miracle. And as much as the faith that I have in Holly, I have to accept the reality is that in a franchise like this, there's going to be a lot of people wanting to put their fingers in the pie. There's going to be a lot of executives that want to see this. There's going to be feedback where people saying, well, that's great, but people from an Alien expect A, B, and C, so we have to put this in there. I don't know how much that has contributed into this. I don't know what the original vision was, and then what's had to been changed for time, input, executive requests, desires to place little bits so we might be able to expand a franchise later on if we want. I mean, all of these things can bloat a production. So I'm really trying to reserve my overall judgment depending on how they end up hitting this and where they expect this story to go afterwards, if they're planning that at all. But yeah, Rob, like you said, there's a lot of things that are starting to pull it back and just run into repetitive same mistakes as we've made before. I just don't think horror should be driven by people doing stupid things. I would be much more fascinated if people made all the right choices and still got messed up.
Yeah, there's a billion horror movies and shows that do all those things that fall into the same old cliches, but not every single one of them has to do that. And this, I thought, was one that was gonna be able to avoid that. And I don't know. I mean, again, this is owned by Disney, but Legion turned out good.
Oh, that was back in the Fox days, though.
Was that still in the Fox days?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, then that succeeded in spite of Fox. But
yeah, there you go.
But, you know, all they did was like, stay away from all the major X-Men characters. You want to do David Haller? Great. Here's Shadow King. Who cares? Like, we're not, you know, we don't even know how to work that into a story, you know, blah, blah, blah. We just deal with Magneto, you know, that's the villain we deal with. So I don't know. It's still really entertaining. That's the thing, is I'm entertained, but that part of my brain that wants better writing and plot is just going, okay. It went from being great to it's good. It's good. It's good. Just X, Y, and Z. You know.
Yeah, it's got some issues, but again, still with it. Still want to see the rest of the journey.
I didn't listen to the podcast. I didn't watch the episode until I got home from work today.
Oh.
I didn't watch it last night. I didn't watch it a second or a third time like I had been doing with the rest of the episodes. As the show has gone on, I have been watching less and less and caring a little less and less. And just like The Last of Us, like you said, got to judge it as a whole. Just like as I was talking about The Last of Us season 2, talked about a lot of the positives and only kind of brought up some of the things I was concerned with a little bit. But by the end, I had to look at it as a whole and go, no. And I just hope that that's not what happens here. Now, if it goes on, if the story goes on, then there'll be reason to still have hope that there's a bigger, broader story, and some of this stuff really won't matter, especially if we see the cool directions it could go.
Well, and I think there's a fair hope. I'm going to put it out there. I'll have a little bit of hopium right now. That because of the success that the series has already had, that they may be a little more hands off if they do another season or two and just be like, hey man, you seem to have it going on. You take your vision. And maybe that will give something a little bit more of a clear thought. But again, I will admit that's reaching for a little bit of hopium, but I'm going to do it. All right. Well, let me see any last little thing. Oh, I did have one question that this brought up, especially since we had the feeding the menagerie scene. What does the alien warrior eat? We have never seen them eat. I mean, outside of killing people, though we get the idea that they seem to be using a lot of them, we don't know if they actually consume them. We've never, I don't think we've ever actually seen the alien eat, even though it grows so fast. Yeah, that would have been something kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, whenever we've seen the mouth go blasting through somebody's head, but we've never seen it sit there and hold it and like, like.
Yeah, they're always finding the bodies. I mean, unless they've all been taken, but then we see them down, in the hives to be impregnated with the new eggs.
Yeah.
But we've never seen like a pile of bones like, oh, they eat people, or, that, I mean, again, that would have been something interesting to explore that nobody has touched is why do they grow so fast?
What is the life cycle of one of these things? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
if they only exist to like, if there's like to serve just to keep going, like they're really, I don't know, like every creature, what is our purpose? Like what?
Sure.
Like, I'm sure my purpose isn't just to sit and watch TV all day, and talk about shows. Like what,
eat and sleep and make little people.
But
and
but we do eat, and there. It's like any other insect where I'm like, why are you even here? Like mosquitoes. I look it up and it says, well, they're a food source for all kinds of things. Otherwise, no, they really have no purpose. And I'm like, but there's a lot of things animals can eat. Why do you also have to have it be a bloodsucker that sucks the blood and spreads diseases? What's the point of this thing? And there's so many of them, the animals aren't doing their job very well.
That's right, man. We need those bats and flies to get those things under control.
I don't know. Like, frogs. Yeah, it is an interesting thing. Like, what do they eat? Maybe that's just one of those mysteries.
Yeah, and I will caveat that with, well, a lot of the times, the less we know, the better, because sometimes the over explanation really takes away the mystery and coolness of it. Again, see Prometheus and Alien Covenant. But that's just one thing that I'm like, wow, you haven't even commented about how fast they grow or what's the thing or what do they eat but I guess with the eye creature, you just feed whatever the eye creature is connected to, and that's how the eye creature eats. And then the flies get fed old electronics and rocks.
Yeah,
Right.
It says that they eat a variety of things, including organic materials, flesh, and even inorganic matter like metals and minerals to sustain themselves as they grow.
And is that the Wikipedia page there that you're looking at?
The AI overview says with the ability to feed on corpses of their hosts, other animals, or environmental components, silicon-based biology and highly acidic physiology allows them to break down and absorb nutrients from both organic and inorganic sources, ensuring their survival even when food is scarce. So that's a double threat, man. They can just eat a rock.
Sure. But that would be something cool to have been explored in the lab. Not having to look it up on the frickin' Wikipedia page.
I didn't. This is just a Google search.
Or AI. Well, yeah. I mean, look, there's a lot of comics and tertiary media out there that's probably covered a lot of this stuff. But if it's not a film or series, nobody knows about it. So it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Okay. You've got to stay with the medium in which the shows are out. You can't rely on tertiary material to tell your story. It's just, it's lazy and it's not going to work. And the audience isn't going to be able to follow that. All right. Well, ready to wrap things up. Any final thoughts on your end there, Rob?
No.
Nope. All right.
Just I mean, like what we're doing, if you want to talk about that, I mean.
Yeah. Well, two things going on. One, for me, you will be able to catch me this Monday over at Enchantment of Eternity, where I'll be joining Mark and Alyssa as we cover season 3 of Strange New Worlds. We're going to do a whole ranking discussion of the whole 3rd season, whose final episode I think drops tomorrow, Thursday. So we'll give you a whole ranking, whole discussion on the series. Quick way to cover this 3rd less than stellar entry in a series that I actually like. But with this guy and me, we got a new project coming up right now.
We actually did it, so
yeah. It's recorded and all.
And it's just the first one. So
yeah, you'll be able to catch this over on Rob's channel, and that is the new The Outer Rim podcast. It's a new project that we are starting up. We're going to try and do a little more regular entries on that, and this is going to be a little bit of a wider view of things. Not just we're not reviewing shows there or anything. I mean, we may talk pop culture and stuff, but really it's a place where we're going to talk about a lot of the bigger things going on, some of the politics stuff, some of just what's happening with us, some larger world things, sometimes just thoughts and things that we're going through, and ideas or concepts that we want to bring out to you. So keep an eye over on Smirking Gun Reviews for the Outer Rim podcast with Rob and I. Yep,
that's going to be great. Just gotta figure out some of the other details and scheduling and all that stuff, and we'll be up and running and off to the races.
Yeah. So from Rob and I and the Outer Rim Network, I want to say, in the words of Edward R. Murrow, good night